Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I've gotten to where I've.
Yeah, I wish they'd all do that.
It would be
Make it a lot quicker.
Oh,
So that's the real number.
16 work days.
Yeah,
Something like that.
that'd be how I'd be counting, I think.
Before we start that, it's good to have you here in person. We expect you in person for future meetings.
We should be good to go then.
We don't meet that often.
Well,
sorry, okay.
well, I was gonna say, if you come back before Christmas, ask for gifts.
Yes, all right.
Which one is that?
We always
I did
give Dan
something
gifts. I don't think you were aware of that last year.
Probably, I guess, just click on
Wait a minute, that sounded Dave Dan.
Yeah, but
So,
next year, the fiscal year, it's the other one.
It's reversed.
Yeah.
it's in even years and odd years or something.
Is our next meeting in October?
I think that's the next
Okay.
regular meeting. And the theory on that was,
Next and last.
Quarterly, right?
well, they're actually 2 a year.
Oh,
And
March and October, April and October, wasn't
Yes.
oh, and this is special because you're retiring, because you're abandoning us.
it? You didn't have to hold a meeting. I've been to plenty of these and didn't need
Well, that.
a special one.
Right, right.
And the theory was, April would give us an opportunity to see, is there any legislation that's
Mm-hmm.
made it's far enough along that maybe we need to be aware of, comment, get ready for. And then, was it July or October, there was another one maybe to get ahead of session, but something.
Any other plans?
Yeah.
And
Should,
this is the first time I've seen
You have
I
quorum.
know,
Okay.
well, that's part of why I was asking, I don't know if I'll hear in October.
oh, yeah,
Nothing's happened yet.
Lewis and we kinda,
I am expecting,
Well, that's great.
so,
Congratulations.
And the baby's due home?
Halloween, Joelle's birthday.
nice.
Who's your backup?
Who's my, oh, in terms of like my work?
Well, for this committee,
I think Joe.
Probably.
I don't
you
know.
better show up then, we want Joe.
Well,
I had another hand too.
I'll either be very pregnant or
You'll be
very tired.
You'll be wobbling.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful news, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, that's great.
Speaking of Sharon, Sharon elbowed me a moment ago and said, it being 1:32, we should call our meeting to order. And in so doing, Sharon, would you call roll, please? Can I do that?
Sure.
Please.
Doug,
Present.
Brandon,
Present.
Dan,
Present.
Rick,
Yo,
Sharita, Anna,
Here.
Mark, and Miles.
And
That's it.
here we go. So Chair recognizes a quorum. And I would point out that notice of this meeting was properly posted on June 10th, 2021. Our first item of business would be approval of the minutes for our meeting of April 20th, 2021.
I move.
Second.
We have a motion by Dan, seconded by Brandon, to approve the minutes. And I believe we have the opportunity to vote here. So, seeing 5 yes, 0 nay, the motion passes. We have our minutes. Thank you for putting those together, Sharon.
You're welcome.
And if I can scroll up. Item number 2 is kind of a catch-all item that we have on our agenda virtually every time we meet, that's designed to allow us to discuss, review, take possible action on our working draft document that I've labeled track changes working draft of our proposed 2021 interim replacement for the 2019 interim employee handbook, as was supplemented by the budget board virtually 1 year ago, when Dan brought forward 3 items to supplement it. In that regard, I'd like to explain my goal for today's meeting. If you'll recall our last visit, and partly in honor of our retiring colleague Dan, we were all committed to pay tribute to him in one special way. Seriously, he's led this effort for so long, and we realized that we're in a position to recommend that our working draft advance, possibly with one little amendment, to the budget board. And actually, item 45 on the regular budget board meeting agenda for this Thursday is to consider a recommendation from this body, one that I hope we can make, to adopt a 2021 interim replacement for the current handbook. And if you recall my comments last time, as we reflect back, and I like to refer to it just as, again, the working draft. This is a compendium, I'll just remind us and anyone watching, of a number of changes, mostly very minor, that this body and our predecessors before us have made over the last 3 to 4 years, many of which we didn't feel were really all that significant enough to warrant maybe trying to move it forward. We moved forward the more significant things. But as Rick said well last time, the employees deserve to have a more up-to-date handbook, and it's within our ability to advance one. There's, as I've mentioned before, I felt, and I still feel that way, there's one section within our handbook that we've worked on that still needs a little bit of review, and it's a bit of a dance as we work with our IT department, the policy and governance board, or whatever. So, and I was not in a position to get that finalized, but we certainly have an excellent document here that we're all familiar with. And my suggestion is that we remove from our working draft, we could say it this way, our currently adopted edits to section 2.21 in favor of what's in force today and has been since 2013. It is the section 2.21 that's in the 2019 interim handbook. It's the same one we live and breathe by every day. It's really fine. But if we were to receive a motion to delete current version of 221 and default back to that which is in force, we would have a handbook that is superior to that that's out there, and one that I would recommend we would advance to the budget board, and they could adopt it, and it would go into effect July 1st. That's my intent for the meeting, and hope that would welcome any questions or discussion or a motion, in fact, to
Well,
do that.
this item's just there if we want that motion to make a recommendation with the, let's say, reversionary clause of the 2013, that would be item 3, is that correct?
I agree with you, Rick. That's more specific to it.
Yeah.
This first one's more of a catch-all, so thank you for that. I wanted you to be aware of the intent, and Rick helped me clarify 3. It's probably the best place to deal with that little adjustment, but
So we could keep item 2
and come back to it if we need to.
if we need to, but item 3 would be to make a recommendation, as you stated previously, with all our minor changes, as you stated, but going back to what the handbook has is current as of 2013, correct?
As far as section 2.21, the one that's in force as we speak.
Actually, that'd be 2019.
Well, that is what is in force. I was just
Okay.
saying the language has been
Okay.
around
Okay.
for a long
Okay.
time.
All right.
So,
Good point.
I'm with you.
okay,
I will say that the 2.21 has some moving parts to it going right now that I really can't talk about. It's an executive session, policy and governance,
sure.
but there are some things that are, I think once those things are put into place, they can probably come back and provide some new language for 2.21.
Right.
So perhaps it'd be appropriate, if I may, to table agenda item number 2 and advance to table 3, and I don't know if we need to vote on that table. Help me out, Mr. Former Chairman.
On item 2,
Table item 2. Have a motion to table?
I don't,
Is it necessary?
no action on it, yeah. And then if we
But
want to
still
come
on
back to
here.
it,
Very
if
good.
we want to come back to it in this meeting, we can do that.
Thanks. How about we do that? So if I may bring up item 3, as Rick was pointing out, it's designed to discuss and take possible action to recommend a version of a 2021 interim employee handbook to the budget board.
Is that a motion on 3, Rick?
Yes, sir, but
There's a motion,
with the 2.21 being what is currently in the handbook, correct?
yes.
Yes.
Not anything we've discussed here.
There'll be 0 change being advanced to the budget board.
That would be my motion.
Do you have it? Does it make any sense?
No.
I'll restate Rick's motion as I understood it.
Thank you.
I heard Rick's motion to be, he moves that the handbook committee recommend the budget board adopt our current working draft of the handbook that's attached to our agenda, less and except section 2.21. The result of that, by the way, would be that the version that we publish will leave intact the existing 2.21.
So that one,
I think that's
Yes,
exactly as I stated.
Yes.
okay. Was there a second?
Second.
And yes, a second from Brandon, so we have an opportunity to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have, the motion passes. Thank you, 5-0. So with that in mind, and let me explain to you my intent, be my pleasure this afternoon to go in and I'll update the working draft that we have. Frankly, I'll change the title a little bit so that it is presented in 2 ways. One, I think it's always helpful. There'll be a track changes version so that you have it and your colleagues. But also I'll do an accept changes version so they can see what it looks like. And we also have, and we'll advance, and I'll update it slightly, the thing that Dan created a couple of years ago and we've maintained, this nice summary I'll just remind you of. It basically lists in concise fashion each of the changes, most of which are formatting, updated the title, etc. But we decided to save people time. We just highlighted any of those that reflect a policy change. We've discussed these before. We could again if anybody wanted to, but I think that's the best tool for if you feel a need to update anybody. Summarizes what's in there, and it is our intent to put that on the budget board agenda.
And then 2.21, the section on this,
Yes, I'll be updating this.
you'll update that.
Yes, in fact, what you see on this one, as Dan's pointing out, I'll update his table of contents such that 2.21 will show no change. Just like 2.2 does. So, thank you for making sure we do that. But that would leave us to our last item on the agenda, item 4, which I could read, but you can read. It's basically to discuss recommended procedure for our county offices and departments to disseminate the information regarding the existence of a new 2021 interim employee handbook, to include possibly collecting signatures and preserving it and so forth. Dan's been through this before. I invited him to share with us how he would recommend that we suggest this get done.
I think last time, all departments, all elected officials had this, and I think it was disseminated to the employees. In fact, we may have put it on InfoZone as well, if I remember correctly, and employees could review that, but that we provided the wording for a sign-off sheet, if you will, for the employees to sign, stating that they had received and reviewed the new employee handbook. And again, that can be done electronically. They can do that. And that they print, one of the problems we had last time, and we'll remember to do that this time, is have them print their name, because people sign their name and you don't have a clue who it is. But print their name, sign their name, date it. And for BOCC departments and then the court clerk and the county clerk, those all came to our office, since we maintain those records, and for others, they maintain them in their employee files. So that there's an acknowledgement that they have seen the changes and have received, even if it is electronic, they have received a copy of the employee handbook. That's always helped us in situations where we've gone to court or had lawsuits, or we've had disciplinary issues, and we can pull it back out. Did you receive this? Is this your signature? So that would be my suggestion, is we provide a template for people to sign off on, and that they go back to the employee files and the appropriate locations where those files are kept.
Dan, is that something we can look to your office to
We-
prepare
Yeah,
and make available?
We can make that available and, get it out to all the elected officials and department heads and, those who would be responsible for disseminating that information.
So it sounds like a fairly decentralized process with you guys are your responsibilities with the BOCC departments, and if you select, you'll be coordinating those and then sharing, and
Yeah.
to each his own then?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happens, and not that I'm suggesting that this will happen, I just wanna know, what happens if people don't sign it, either because they don't want to or because they forgot, or?
Well, I mean, I think that's up to the manager to make sure that it gets signed. And if somebody refuses to sign, just take that form and write
No,
employee
that
refused
that's, got it.
to sign.
Okay.
I don't know why anybody would, but it
Right.
happens. But I think it's ultimately up to the elected official, department head, or supervisor to make sure that individuals receive that form and that they acknowledge that they have gotten a handbook.
Is there an ideal timeline? Like, obviously, new employees will get it as soon as they go through orientation, but, is it 30 days?
I would think 30 to 45 days would be plenty of time. I know a lot of people are on vacation, there may be still a few people working from home and that type of thing, but I think over a period of 30 to 45 days, they should be able to get that taken care of.
Is this like an I read and understand the policy, or is this I just received the policy?
I have received the policy. It will be similar to language to what we do in new employee orientation.
Okay.
I've received a copy of the employee handbook, and I know it's my responsibility to review
Okay,
and
good.
understand what's in there.
And I might remind us, we have reviewed and approved and updated a couple acknowledgement forms that are in the thing, so.
Last time we did this in 2019, I put together a PowerPoint presentation, and we held some meetings here and around, in some different facilities, covering that with employees and employee meetings, and had them sign off then. I won't be doing that. But that may be something, if you guys wanna do something like that, and so you can hit all your shifts and all your people over there, whatever.
That was my other tedious question is, in the event that someone wants more information, are we directing them to one of us, to a manager, to HR?
You can
Are
direct them to HR. Karen will be heading that up effective July 1, and she's well versed in the handbook, so is Christy. they'll be able to hopefully answer any questions that come along.
That's an advantage too, doesn't it, in that they're in a position to collect them and maybe, they'll see a few things or hear some things that you're one person that came to you and you just know the one. But there's some benefit.
We always get that one or two questions that, it's not really addressed in the handbook, but let's figure out, and maybe the answer is it's not addressed in the handbook. We deal with those on a case-by-case
Right.
basis.
Well, and my thought was there may be things that need to change or improvements or something that we're not aware of, but an employee looking at it might say, well, what about this?
Yeah, and that's, that's some of the things that we've addressed over the years in dealing with this, is employees would say, well, that doesn't make sense, and we've gone back and changed some of those things.
Well, and Dan, we'll look to your office and your successor. If they decide to try to offer anything, I think they'll probably want to look at it and see, do these kind of changes warrant that more extensive meetings in PowerPoint, the way they did perhaps in 2019, but that's your call.
But when you look at the things highlighted in yellow here, there's not a huge amount of significant issues that change. There's not really anything that's significantly changed in here. Some wording has changed. There's been, a few additions and deletions and that type of thing. But there's no huge policy changes like we had in the last version.
Well, any other thoughts or comments, questions? Feel like it's been a good discussion. Thank you, Dan, so much. So is there a motion to receive Dan's report here?
Second?
Push your button.
Push your button here. Brandon moves to accept Dan's report. Which, Dan, will you be able to be present at the budget board meeting Thursday?
Plan on it.
Perhaps to do that. Welcome, Sharita.
Unless I get a better.
Okay, unless it gets better after. You're fine then. So I'll vote yes, and we have 5 ayes accepting Dan's excellent report. And, let's see. I think we want to go through this and see if in the process we triggered any sense that maybe somebody wanted to go up, reopen item 2 and discuss some other change. But I think we've got this headed for home right now. Sharita, to bring you up to date.
Yeah, we talked yesterday.
And we have recommended, we have voted to recommend to the budget board on item 45 in the regular meeting this Thursday, if they adopt our working draft, less than accept section 2.21, that's in our working draft, leaving in its place that which is in the 2019.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Are you gonna be providing the budget board members with both the accept changes as well as the track changes?
Yes, sir.
And
the summary.
And the summary.
Overview.
Okay.
And so my commitment is to update the current documents to reflect our actions today. Crossing my fingers as to, will I have the pagination, the page numbers in the agenda fixed by then or not, but see how long that takes. But they'll have a clear ability to see how it will read and what the changes are, and then the summary. Very good. Any other questions, comments? We are ready for any citizen participation. Going once, seeing twice, seeing none. Time for board comments. And may I start out by saying thank you, Dan, for your leadership and diligence in seeing so many things through. In particular, this has been your baby and our pleasure. And I want to thank also our colleagues. Remember Randy Grau and Joe Blau And by the way, please keep in your hearts and prayers Mark Cycle, who was not able to be with us here today, but so many people have done such good work, and we've had benefit of the DA's office and others. John Wilkerson did a great amount of work, so really a terrific document. And I know our payroll officers grateful, and the auditors are grateful for things that you've done, so that's plenty for me, and I'll pass around to Brandon.
Yeah, we've worked together a lot of years by the nature of our jobs, so, you know, the Andrews stuff with that, you've always been super helpful to us and the sheriff's office and me, and so I appreciate it. And good luck. If you need anything, so you can call. I'm gonna probably try to call you about every chance I get, about 3 in the morning.
Come on,
Just to
my,
see if
my,
you come up with
my cell
answers.
phone does not go in the bedroom. with me,
Oh,
so Go ahead, call.
Yeah, maybe I call your house phone, yeah.
Is
Sharita.
this the goodbye?
But yeah,
It's
I'm
the start.
retiring
We
July
have a
9th.
gift today.
This is
No, you
just
don't have to.
practice.
You can just say see you
Just
later.
practice.
Well, we will be tremendously missed,
Well, thank you.
tremendously. I think you've impacted everybody in this county. And very awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
service.
Thank
You've
you.
always been incredibly kind and welcoming, and this is gonna sound extra, but like a safe place, when a lot of times this building doesn't necessarily feel like a safe place, your office always feels welcoming.
That's one of the things that we always try to do, is make a safe place. We listen very well.
Thank you, Anna. Rick?
I think the office started, was it Jim Roth or Rush?
Jim Ross, Stan Inman, and Jack Cornett.
Yeah. And that was before my time, but I'm glad you were here.
Thank you.
It's been an honor to get to know you as a friend and a colleague, and it's, I don't know where the county would be without an HR department. You look at all this stuff over the years that you've been here, and I've been here, those of those long-termers, it's quite a revolution in the way of doing business here, so thank you for everything. And thoughts and prayers from our cycle. He'll be back, we just don't know when, but he's at home resting and giving us good reports. So, a couple of staff members get to, I don't know if you all know Tammy Jones, but she's able to stop by a pharmacy on behalf of Mark, pick up stuff and bring it to his house. She lives out there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she gets to see him, and he's doing well, but we just wanted to heal and take his time and definitely healthy, which is what this surgery did. So grateful for him.
Outstanding. Dan, we saved you for last, I think.
Well, it's been a fun 17 and a half years. Always entertaining. Most days have been good. I appreciate all the work this committee has done. You named a lot of names of people who have participated in this, and going back to some of our assistant DAs that helped us out, Aaron Spitzer, who worked with us, and others. We've accomplished a lot. We've updated this, and all of you have participated. I especially appreciate all the hard work you've done, Doug, in getting things on paper.
Yeah.
From meetings that go back a long time ago that you had to disseminate through and figure out. And so I appreciate that. And I know this committee is in good hands moving forward. I'll miss the people. Won't necessarily miss politics, but I'll miss the people.
What are you kidding?
But it's time to move to the next chapter. We got some things planned. I recently connected with a sister that I didn't know I had.
Oh, wow.
We were both adopted at birth. She's 3 years older than I am, and about 6 weeks ago I met her for the first time.
That's cool.
And so,
Wow.
and then that's from my mother's side. From my father's side, I've met some cousins, and our plan is to get to know the new family a little better. And, do some things that we've wanted to do. My wife's been waiting 2 years for me to retire, so, since she retired.
Well, thank her for sharing you with us,
Yeah,
for at least the last couple of years, especially through COVID year.
I wanted her to get used to it before I jumped into it, and then COVID came along. So I'll miss all of you.
At least come see us.
I will.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Well, guys, thank you. I believe I should ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Dan having moved to adjourn, Brandon seconded. All in favor? Aye. And how about all in favor, give Dan a beginning round of applause. Practice, thank you. You like
Look
the
like you know it.
It's like the Royal Clark
Y'all
song.
did.
Thank God,
Yeah,
Ray,
yeah.
you're gone.
Thank you, Sharon.
And Derek. That is a great song.